Thanks for joining us today at Unstuck Your Business Podcast.
You went into business with excitement and passion to show the world what you can do to contribute into our society and into our economic ecosystem.
But a couple of years into the business, and your drive and motivation has dwindled, and now you feel stuck.
When you find yourself at this crossroads of thoughts and emotions, how do you deal with it?
We are your hosts, Inez Nazario Vega from Business Essentials Virtual Assistant,
and Edith Duran from Reason Marketing.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unstuck Your Business. Today's podcast will be dedicated to helping business owners and entrepreneurs manage stress and enhance their productivity. We'll explore the causes of business stress, discuss effective stress management techniques, and we will hear from Didi Vasquez, a mindset and performance coach and Procter Gallagher consultant, about this topic.
Whether you're dealing with deadlines, juggling multiple projects, or navigating the complexities of running a business, this podcast is here to provide you with the tools and inspiration to reduce stress and thrive in your professional life. Didi, welcome to Unstuck Your Business. Thank you for being here with us. Would you please tell us a little bit more about yourself and your business?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I am a mindset and performance coach. I didn't really started as a mindset and performance coach. I worked for almost 15 years in the aerospace industry, working with high elite performers and high elite performance teams. And I just dove into mindset and neuroplasticity and all that topic, for my own personal, maybe about 8 years ago. And I saw how it was benefiting myself, my family, my goals, my achievements, and more than anything, my peace of mind. I was a go-getter, high achiever, full of anxiety all the time because we're always kind of pursuing the next step and then that next goal and whatnot. So I was consumed in that kind of go-getting and anxiety-producing activities, So I was approaching life in a way that I didn't really feel like it was ever enough. And it doesn't matter how much I achieved, it never felt enough. So with the mindset study that I did and an application of kind of how I was discovering, I noticed that not only did my achievements kind of like expanded in a great way, but my peace of mind expanded as well. So I was able to just kind of approach life from a different perspective and not so much from that hustle and grind all the time, but much more from a performance flow type of, engaging with life and achievement in that type of sense. So I decided, it's been so beneficial for me that why don't I put that together and kind of help other people with their struggles with anxiety and achieving things in a certain way, probably never feeling good enough or feeling like they are never enough, that type of never enoughers. That's what I call myself. And go-getter high achievers are never enoughers, right? So the people that kind of get stuck in that hamster wheel of go-getting all the time seem to never feel like they reach a certain level of success enough for them to take care of themselves and their family and their health and their personal well-being. So balancing those two is what I felt was the need, the biggest need for and that's what I decided to bring into the market. So I created my own program, and I am a Procter Gallagher consultant, which has materials to teach, manifesting with your mind and mindset and things like that. But I also created my own program, it's called the Elite Mind, which is that distinction between performing from the hustle state of mind and performing from a flow state of mind, that kind of giving into the creativity that's innate in all of us and being able to flow from that standpoint. So I'm very excited to be able to share that here with you, and I think it's so applicable for business owners today, because let me tell you, the whole world is transforming. If it's not the medical system, the education system, the AI technology is changing. The people after the pandemic are changing careers, are changing family structures, it's changed so much change, that if you are wanting to serve the market as a business owner, you are changing in your personal life. You are changing in the way that you're delivering your business, and you are helping people that are also transforming. So everything in change brings a lot of fear. brings a lot of stress because there are countless unknowns, right? Question marks and how things are going to go, how things are going to succeed or not. So it's really being able to center yourself in your mind and your emotions, and being able to still acknowledge that we are facing a lot of unknowns and have a vision that is clear enough to step forward and take that next step and not be paralyzed by fear, I think is a very a key and fundamental piece of a successful business owner nowadays. And you have to have that skill in order to push through all this wave of transformation that's seemingly unavoidable for everybody.
Yeah, and Didi, I just have to say this and put this out there as you're describing what you do and who you are and what your business is about. I've known you for quite a bit, and I had the privilege of you being one of my clients, which was an amazing experience. But I just have to say to our audience, Didi is speaking from a position of authority. She is in a very highly demanding industry. The aerospace industry is very high demanding. It's always pushing the limits. It's always that industry that have to constantly feel like you have to go beyond what you're capable of. And I think that just your experience alone, 15 years in that type of industry, and to be able to shift from that gives you a good level of authority to speak about the topic that we want to talk about today. So I appreciate you being here and of course, sharing your wealth of information and experiences with us. But to get us started, I just want to ask some questions. Didi, how would you define stress as a business owner? Because not only are you working still, but you are a business owner. You have your own standing coaching business. Of course, you're helping others how to manage stress. So in your opinion, how do you see business owner defining stress?
Oh, well, where do we start, right? Like, so think about
we can have a couple of episodes about that.
Yeah, right. So where do we begin? So think about all the hats that we have to wear as a business owner, right? Especially if you're starting, if you're a small business owner, you probably don't have the resources to outsource a lot of your or marketing, or whether it's your business structures, or whether it's your technology, your social media, whatever it is that you're involved with, right? You perhaps don't have to wear more than one hat, right? You started your business because you have a passion, because you have something to give, because you have something to share, and that's your specialty. But all of a sudden you have to sit down and do all the things that perhaps don't pull at your heartstrings the same way that the passion does, right? So that creates stress because you are having to almost like look at it from a different point of view, a different perspective, depending on the task that you're doing. So your mind can be split, right? 5 minutes, you're doing marketing, but then all of a sudden you got a thought and you remember that you had a meeting about this, and then you change, and all of a sudden, who am I right now? Right. So you kind of like gray these, you gray these roles. There's like, you mix these roles in your daily, in the hours that you have available. And if you're a small business owner that also has a regular job, right? So you don't have the all the hours in the day to take care of that, right? So it becomes very overwhelming. So that a sense of overwhelm is the stress that a lot of people are having. And because the pandemic and because of things that are transforming, like I mentioned at the beginning, you probably also have some kind of personal changes that you're going through as well, right? So how your mind is constantly dividing your energy in different to different places, to different things, right? So that in itself just diminishes your capacity to be able to be present and handle the task at hand. So your productivity goes down, your presence, your efficiency, the way that you perform your task goes down because you're so split. And it's like a constant state of anxiety, right? And then we fall into this trap of believing this bigger vision, which is great. I believe in visions. We'll talk about that. But believe this bigger vision in a way that makes you very dissatisfied with the present moment, with where you are right now. So you start growing in this emotional state of being dissatisfied with with where you are. And that what does that do to your productivity, to your focus, to your efficiency, to with the little hours that you have available? It just brings it down. So you have all these things that are normalized in the business world, that you kind of acquire, if you're learning from somebody that has had a lot of failures or a lot of experience, right? It's part of the way that the world was back then. And now we have so much opportunities for automation. We have so much opportunity for exploring different ways to be able to maximize your time, that you perhaps haven't been exposed to, that are also available, but you're so overwhelmed doing things, perhaps in old ways of doing things, that you just kind of, you don't have the time. You don't have the time to learn the new things because you're maybe somehow keeping up, if you keep up with the tasks that you have on your to-do list. So it's a constant battle in your mind as to, when am I going to achieve the level of success to feel at peace? And that is the piece of the puzzle that I feel tends to not be addressed in a lot of the mindset work, and a lot of the vision work, and a lot of the achievement world, right? The go-getting and the achieving, that it tends to make people feel like eventually you'll get the break. But in reality, in this transforming world, you're going to go into a journey of innovation like unprecedented. You're going to try different things. You're going to learn new things. You're going to refine your messaging, right? Edith, you're in marketing, right? There's a lot of like exploring who you're going to talk to, like all these trial and errors that you have to go to, that you have to have the stamina to go through it. You have to have the mental centering to be able to go through it with a creative perspective, because it's exciting to find the way to get your message across. It's exciting to find the people that you're going to connect with and help, right? But you can approach that from a flow state of mind that's also equally available for you than from the hustle kind of and grind that has been, the primordial teaching from business for so long. But it's no longer the case. I mean, if you think about look up, Tony Robbins, for example, that's super successful, right? Incredibly successful. What is he providing now to as a service? It's an AI powered business systems, right? Because it's so automated that it alleviates a lot of the lesson learned from the past, old ways of doing things. So being a business owner, I guess, I want to convey the message that a lot of the stress may be unnecessary, and just kind of flirt with that idea for a few minutes, and allow yourself to consider different ways.
One of the things you said, Dee Dee, at the very beginning was, that relationship between the work that you put into your own, your own mindset, and the relationship that has had with peace of mind. And what you've taken out of that equation is the achievement. So it's like you've said it right there, like your peace of mind really isn't related to your level of achievement. You can continue, making strides, but until you control that mindset, you're going to continue to have the stress. And so how do you even get started with like separating, that behavior that you want to, relate your level of achievement to, once I get here, I'm going to feel better. I'm going to be happier, all of that.
I'm going to, because I sometimes feel like I sometimes feel like I have multiple personality when it comes to the business. And where there's areas of the business that I have such a high level of peace of mind, maybe because I have a strong skill sets toward it, maybe because my passion towards it is different. And then there's this other side that is, I act upon it with the hustle mentality. Like, oh my gosh, I have to achieve 30 calls. I have to complete this presentation within an hour or two. I have to, but then there's that side. I mean, I literally feel like I have multiple personalities. while managing my business. And to what Edith says, there's a separation. There's a separation to it. So how do you
Yeah. So
transform
that absolutely. Yeah. And thank you for your question and sharing your experience, being so vulnerable. I think that there's a non-attachment that is required, non-attachment to the achievement, right? This is not I am not intending to diminish the value of setting goals or, or defining a vision for yourself. But if you are waiting to achieve it, to feel good, you have it backwards. So it's falling in love with the process. The non-attachment to the achievement is not a lack of definition of a goal. What I'm talking about is the way that you approach where you are right now. Is a shift in your relationship with the present moment, right? So that way you can appreciate, there's a sense of appreciation for where you are, just like you are, exactly where you are, the way it is. And from there, knowing that you have the infinite creative capacity to go anywhere you wish to go. And when you sit from that sense of authority, or seniority in your own experience, you are not depending on any achievement to feel secure, safe, and inside. So, and to answer Edith, when you were asking, how do we do that? How do we start, right? So there's three main aspects that I've identified that I think are important to talk about here and share with people. Is, you have to understand what's happening. So the mechanics of human behavior, it all starts with a stimuli from the outside. Something happens, somebody says something, a thought enter your mind, and you start entertaining these ideas that came from somewhere, right? Sometimes within yourself, sometimes from the outside, triggered by an outside stimuli. So then you entertain those ideas in your mind, and you start getting emotionally involved with them. And now you start getting a little bit worried, like, okay, well, what if this is happening, right? And then if we all have tendencies, and that comes from our upbringing, from the way that we were raised, from the environment that we expose ourselves to, what we feed our minds daily. We all have tendencies that are easy to believe certain thoughts. So you get emotionally involved with these ideas, and you think about them so much that you believe that's the environment that you're living right now. So, and this is clear when it happens when you're about to fall asleep and you're just laying in bed, and all of a sudden there's a whole story that you're creating, and you're stressed about the next day or the next week because you're believing that you're living what you're creating in your mind. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Related. Right? So you are creating this experience within yourself, which if you get emotionally involved for long enough, your brain is going to start creating the chemicals to replicate that state. So your body is going to feel the stress of that moment that you're visualizing, right? So that visualization works for the negative and the positive, and you're visualizing all the time. So if you understand that mechanism starts with some kind of stimuli from the outside, then you generate some ideas, some thoughts, then you get emotionally involved with these ideas, and they're expressed through your body, right? And I learned that a lot from Proctor Gallagher, from Bob Proctor. Then your body starts experiencing this. So that at the time that you feel stressed, that whole process has already taken place. So the most effective way that I've found, and this is years of trying meditation, all kinds of techniques, right, that are helpful for different people. The thing that I have encountered, and me, I am a high go-getter, high achiever, recovering, go-getter, never enougher, right? So that's kind of what my focus is. So the most effective way to kind of calm down, regulate your nervous system has been a breathing exercise. When I say breathing, there's plenty, right? Plenty of techniques to breathe and all that. And there's a bunch of things. But what I got caught up in that created more anxiety is to finding the right technique at the right time, doing it the right way and all that. So I kind of let go of all that. It wasn't the technique. I just needed to breathe, right? So I would breathe in through my nose, 4 seconds in, into my belly, and I will breathe it out for 4 seconds. And I would do that until I felt the relief of my nervous system coming down. Now, I say that and it sounds simple, but it did not feel as simple at the beginning, right? So I want to be clear on that, right? So it's something that it's almost like a muscle that I flex and develop, right? So nowadays it's easy for me to just breathe, and my body knows that I'm just calming down. And that way you can kind of neutralize that nervous system response that's being triggered by you emotionalizing those thoughts. Okay, so the straight the most effective path to the peace of mind is not to remind yourself of the vision, of the affirmations, of the, all that, just so that you can kind of push it in there and scare that fear and stress away. Is to get you back to center, so that you can then from that place take an action or do something that's going to move you forward. Because that we live in a world of energy. So your state of mind is the frequency that you're operating in. So if you are operating under that mental hustle, that fight or flight, more than likely the strategies that you're going to work and put into place are going to create more hustle, because that's what you're putting out. So if you think about it as a cycle, it starts with, infinite energy. It becomes a thought, it becomes an emotion, then it expressed through an action in your body, or a decision that you make, or an action that you take. That's the frequency cycle that you're feeding. So that's what's going to come back. So if you're constantly working in this hustle and trying to, make it to a time that you can actually flow into what you want, that's never going to come, because it's a hamster wheel. It's a hustle hamster wheel. It's always like, if you think about it, if you're listening right now and you have done mindset work for a while, and you have set a vision, and you have affirmation, and look around the many things that you have already achieved using those techniques. And how many of you still feel like you still have to get to the place so that you can be free? Right? Like, think about it. Think about the things that you've already achieved, because I'm sure it works as a mechanism. It works like a system. So if you've done the things, you will manifest. But the emotional the disconnect to your happiness is not relieved by the manifestation. Is relieved by your relationship with where you are. And that relationship, way that I've been able to define it, is to be in a loving awareness of exactly where you are, exactly how you are right now. And if you can cultivate that sense of peace with where you are, knowing that you've come a long way, and that there's going to be other ways to go, other places to go. But right now, where you can love yourself where you are right now, it just brings you back. So you do the breathing exercises, and you do that appreciation for right now, right here, how privileged I am to be just sitting right here, right now. And if you can come to peace with that, then from that place, you can create whatever you want.
I do like that. That's like a hacking mechanism, the breathing in between. Like you're literally hacking the system. You're literally hacking your nervous system, and you're literally hacking your thinking system. And I'm just curious, because I'm sure you had to go through the process to get to where you are today. How long and how many tries did it take you to get to that point of balancing your nervous system with the breathing technique? Not only that, for the moment, but to reduce the amount of times you will take your mental state back to that stress visualization or moment. In your experience, I mean, I know everybody is going to be different, but I'm just curious as to, for you, how many breathing times in the middle of a stressful moment did you have to do to get to the point of like, what, this just comes in autopilot. I can just do it in the nick of a moment and just get the results I want from it.
And real quick, just to add to Inez's question, as a part B, how long did it take for you to have faith in this process that it was going to work for you?
Okay. Yeah, that's a great question, actually. And that goes back to even before I even consider opening a business and sharing this with people. And back in 2017, I was going through a divorce. And I was having, and it's a divorce that I initiated because I wanted it. And from the outside looking in, it might have looked like I got everything that I wanted. But internally, I was experiencing just anxiety and panic attacks and all that. So I decided to get some help, and I was very fortunate to just find a psychotherapist that became just my mentor. And he so gracefully guided me to the root cause of my emotional turmoil. And he was the one who educated me on how the things that have happened in your childhood and your upbringing really bubble up in times of change. So the magnitude of the emotions that you feel when you're transforming into something new, which I was, the magnitude of those emotions, it tend to be somewhat related to the things that you push down in other experiences earlier in your life. So that allowed me to just kind of be gentle with myself in a loving way, which generated peace of mind almost immediately. And I say that carefully because I had to kind of embrace myself as I was experiencing these emotions and facing the unknown. I had to embrace myself over and over again every time they came up. So it wasn't the effect of the relief was very quick, but it's not a one and done thing. It's not something that you do once and then you're set for life. Things are going to come up in your life that are going to trigger different emotions within you. And if your goal is to not feel the seemingly negative emotions, then you're fighting a losing battle. But if your goal is to get proficient at how to nurture yourself in those moments, then you can do it for the rest of your life. It doesn't matter what comes at you. So it's a different approach to what you're experiencing. That's why I say it's a shift in your relationship with the present moment, with what's happening right now.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I do like what you just said. Is the shift of your relationship with the moment that you're experiencing at that time, because um I think that's where most business owners struggle with, is separating the moment from the feeling.
Yeah, and
Like,
not being
and
personally.
you're in the middle of the day and you have all those deadlines and you have all this thing being thrown at you, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is just too much. Just stop. And we just have to take that moment, like you said, that moment to detach from the emotion, perhaps, and say, you know what, I'm gonna just be thankful that I do have a business, that I do have clients, that I do have this, and take a moment and breathe.
And I wanted to also clarify that it's not necessarily a detachment from the emotion, because that kind of goes into bypassing your real experience. So it's not, because that could get you, it happened to me, that could get you into then fighting the emotion and feeling like something's wrong with you because you feel the anger, because you feel the stress and you feel the anxiety. So it's more of in the way that I can visualize this is if you were able to watch yourself from the window or from outside of your body, if you were able to watch yourself exactly where you are, knowing how hard you've worked, knowing how dedicated you've been, knowing how much sacrifices you've made, knowing how the things that you have had to do that might have been hard to get to where you are, if you can lovingly witness yourself right now and give yourself a hug, right? Like if you could do that, then you almost like your stress kind of melts away, right? And I don't want to diminish the experience when we do get caught up in this anxiety that we seem to not be able to get out. But if you in that moment you develop the skill really to almost like detach from that and just witness the moment. This is important. So witness where you are right now from a loving nature. knowing, because you know the sleepless nights, the things that you have had to say no to be able to push through with what you are pursuing. The times that you beat yourself up because you make a mistake or you said the wrong thing or what, all these things. So if you can lovingly approach yourself, it's like, oh, pat yourself on the back for everything that you've done so far, everything that you've accomplished so far, and just say that I'm proud of you and I love you and I'm proud of you. And then where do we go from here, right?
Yeah.
And where do we go from here is an important piece, because we might have different goals written down and measurable and SMART goals, right? They're measurable, they're realistic, they're time bound, they're all those things. And those are great. I'm not derailing from that. But if you don't have like a deeper vision that drives all your goals, you're going to be putting out fires like squirrel, 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 so not knowing where to go, right? So finding a vision of what you want to accomplish in life. And that vision is like, what do you want your family life to look like? What do you want to feel when you're at home? How do you want to generate income? What do you want to feel when you're generating income? Do you want to be hustling and striving for it all the time? Or do you want to design something that allows you to, like we were talking about before the recording, being able to generate income while you sleep, right? That's also available for everybody right now. So just having that deeper vision that is not married to a how. And if you're taking notes, this is the note that you have to take. Have a vision that is not married to a how, because the strategies change. You learn that some strategies work, some don't. You tweak some, you merge some, you fuse some with others, and you have to allow yourself to enjoy that process of innovation. That is what innovation is all about. Nothing works the first way, the first time ever. So just accept that and fall in love with the process of then designing the 2.0, like the new version of it. Like, what does that look like? Now with the lessons that you learned, with the things that worked and didn't work, how would it look like right now? Right. So just kind of that passion, you're able to continue that passion that allows you to not stay stuck. Right. You guys are serving you guys are serving a great need, right? Because people are stuck all the time. And especially as a business owner, small business owner, you feel stuck all the time. Right. So that you having the passion that allows you to reach out to somebody to say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, but you seem to know what you're doing. Can you give me some pointers? Can we meet up for coffee somewhere sometime? And just having the courage to reach out and feel confident enough to feel worthy. And that's a big word, feeling worthy of the help, right? And all those things, when you're living that new innovation, is contagious. So people are just eager to help you, eager to guide you, eager to support you, because you come from that loving place. It's a completely different way to live. Now, the power of your mind and the power of manifesting exists. It works like a mechanism. It works like a system. So that will get you what you want. What I'm after is allowing you to enjoy it as you achieve it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Didi. For the sake of time, because we do like to keep the podcast to 30, 35 minutes. And this of course, is it's a topic that we can be talking about for much longer than 30 minutes for sure.
Which is why she has a course in development.
Exactly. But in your opinion, what would be like the main 3 takeaways that we can give business owners on how to reduce their stress and thrive in their professional life?
Yeah, if you're gonna reduce it to 3 main takeaways, I would say the breathing. Start with breathing. Always start with breathing. Forget about your vision. Forget about just in the moment that you feel stress and anxiety and you feel that overwhelm, breathe until you get to a place that you can appreciate the present moment where you are without wanting to change it, without wanting it to be a certain way. So that's the second part, that loving awareness of the present moment. And then the third pointer I would say is having a vision, and without having the time to discuss go deep into what a vision is, I would say if you were to define how you feel happy, free, and at peace, what would that look like? So if you're designing goals for your business, right? This is what we're talking about here. how do you design a business? What does a business look like for you that allows you to be happy, free, and at peace? And from that standpoint, then you just craft a new goal. You craft the new thing. You design the new thing that you're going to pursue. That's what I call base camp goals, right? If you have this vision is the peak of Mount Everest, you have to go to base camps for it and stay there the night. And then you do another base camp. You design it. You figure out where you're going next. So that's the journey. That's the journey of business success. So before defining the next base camp goal, take a breath, as many breaths as you need to calm your nervous system. You will feel it. You will feel it in your body until the point that you feel like that loving awareness to the present moment, exactly where you are, knowing where you come from, knowing where you're going. And then have a vision that allows you to be happy, free, and at peace. And from there, take all the action that you want.
That is such amazing advice. I mean, it's honestly, it tends to sound simple, but we all know that in practice, it really isn't simple. And if you don't mind, just because I'm going back to what you were explaining, that, when you were going through a very difficult time with your divorce, breathing was one of the ways that you took to calm down your nervous system. So real quick, I know we're running short on time, but could you go through that breathing exercise with us? You said it was 4 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I do is I breathe through my nose into the bottom, as if you were directing the air right to the bottom of your belly, and you feel the belly expanding for 4 seconds. So you do breathing in, 2, 3, 4. You feel the belly expanding, and then you let it out through your mouth. 2, 3, 4. So you will count that. So equal amounts of time on both sides, and that will. And I am not saying that prescribing it generally to everybody. Just try it out and see how it works for you. And if you already have another technique that may work for you better, but be aware to not get caught up in doing it the right way or the right technique or because that will keep your mind hustling. So it's a simple technique. Breathing in through your nose 4 seconds into your belly and just let it out. Sometimes you let it out with a sigh. Just let it out for 4 seconds. And just kind of train your mind, train your body to just relax. And eventually what you do is you build that pattern. That's what neuroplasticity is. You practice something enough times, and your body learns that that's what you want. So eventually when you started feeling stressed, it's almost like your subconscious mind directs your body to do that. So you build that muscle to where it becomes a habit. That's what a habit really is. You do it enough times, and then you do it automatically. So that technique then becomes a habit, and it's just a practice. It's such a simple practice. It took so many years for me to accept that that's just as simple as it was. So I want to alleviate that for some people. If you're in that striving to find the right technique to calm your anxiety. And I don't want to diminish, I don't want to pretend that I am a therapist or diminish, certain events that can definitely trigger you in a big way. I never want to be disrespectful to that. But you can start with breathing, a simple breathing exercise, and try it out and see how far it gets you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We really appreciate that. So, Didi, I'm sure that from this conversation, our audience would like to probably connect with you and find out more of what you do. So, where can our audience connect and find you? And also tell us a little bit more about your coaching, because I know you had the Elite Mind program. When is the program? How is delivery and things of that nature? So if you can share that with us.
So for the Elite Mind program, which is a group coaching every week on Zoom for 9 weeks, there's going to be a new group in the fall, and those dates will be announced soon. And there's also what I'm working on, which Edith was talking about before the recording, is I'm working on a product that focuses on these 3 main aspects: the breath, the loving awareness in the present moment, and building your vision that allows you to be happy, free, and at peace. And I'm going to do that in a more condensed way. And I want that to be a self-study program that we're launching later on this year. So what I would say is that if you're interested in knowing kind of where those things are going to come out, just email me at diddy@diddyvasquez.com. That's DIDDY at DIDDYVAZQUEZ.com. And that's my website also, diddyvasquez.com. You can go in there and see all of our announcements. I have a newsletter you can sign up to and be part of our part of our announcement. So just get in contact with me, and because everybody is may need different things, So I'm open to having the initial conversation to see how I can best help you. That might be one-on-one time. That might be a program that's already established. If you're interested in understanding the more of the manifestation aspect of the mindset, we can look into the Proctor Gallagher programs that are available. There's a plethora of things but it's really unique to what your needs are and where you are in your own journey. So I'll be happy to help.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time and for sharing this great information with us. We really appreciate you, Diddy, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to have you again, and then we can really dig into the Elite Mind program, perhaps a little bit of a preview and little nuggets that our small business audience can benefit from.
Absolutely. Be happy to be there.
Thank you, Didi. Until next time. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, we want to thank you. Let us know what you think about today's topic by leaving us a comment and a review of our podcast.
And if you found some value on the information shared in this podcast, please subscribe and share. And you can find us on our Facebook page, Unstuck Your Business, and join the conversation and engage with other entrepreneurs as together we help each other unstuck our business. Until next time.
Until next time.